Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. In the wake of Apple introducing their new phones a few weeks ago, I am now in process of myself researching and looking up information on which phone I will be getting in a few weeks because I do want a new phone, right? And I'm an Apple guy. And I think that usually, just because who I am, I want the best phone that's on the market in terms of Apple. So I want the 17 Pro Max. I want that phone. I do know, and I do think, and I have been looking into it a lot. A lot of people are telling me online, people that I don't know, but people who I think that know what they're talking about, they're saying that the iPhone 17, the base version, is worth the money that it's priced at. So I'll be honest, I'm a little conflicted because at one point, one part of me wants the best and the brightest, which I do. I'm a person that if it's available, I want, and I can afford it, which I can. I want the top notch, top of the line, whatever it might be, phone, console, laptop, whatever it is, right? I want the best of the best. I expect that and I want that, right? But at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of people just gas up the regular base 17 phone, saying it's just so much. It's a vast improvement in all phases, right? Screen, brightness, graphics, resolution, battery, like better than they've ever done for their base phone in a long time. Seeing the same thing about the Pro 2, right? The Pro is the same display. There's no, like, the 17 has the same exact display, brightness, pixels as the Pro does. It's just the battery is not going to be as good and the camera is not going to be as good. And the battery on the Pro is actually even better than previous generations. So big hauls on the battery have been made. The question is am I going to want to spend the 1,000 plus or like around like 800? It's a big question, I think, just because of who I am, and I already have a 14 Pro Max, I'm used to having a bigger phone. And I know like the 17 Pro Max is slightly bigger, but I'm already used to having a giant phone. So like, do I make the switch to a smaller phone with less camera power, less battery power, even though I'm probably not even going to notice it that much when I'm using it? I'm not too sure yet. What I have to do is I'm done researching online. I'm done watching comparison videos. I'm done looking up these before you buy videos, right? I need to go to an Apple store and I need to experience these phones first person, in person. I need to do that because there's no other way I'm going to make a decision by just videos. There's just something when you actually see the device and hold the device in your own hand and see it with your own eyes, then you can make the call on that. And that's what I need to do, right? I think a lot of times we as people nowadays enjoy shopping online, which, don't get me wrong, is beautiful. I do it all the time. But I think that there is something that you need to do is look at whatever you're going to buy in person. And if you can like kind of sample it or take it for a spin, like what you can at the Apple store, then that's like very crucial and what you should do when you want to buy something new. So I got to make that decision on that day. So I'm going to go to the Apple store, and I'm going to make this like a thing that must be done. Like, I have to do this, because if I don't, then I'm just going to buy something that maybe I'm not fully sold on and not like really, into, right? Maybe I'll even buy the orange one, right? I saw the orange one when it was announced, and I'm like, who would want this? Maybe if I see it in person, I'll be like, whoa, this orange is actually kind of cool. Maybe I'll go with orange. Now, I'm most likely not going to do that, but you never know, right? I'm still kind of salty, though, that there's no black iPhone 17 Pro. I mean, that to me is insane, right? You have orange, silver, and a deep blue, but no black. That's like a neutral color that you need for like people. Is just necessary. Maybe again, if I go to the Apple store and see the orange one, I'll be like, whoa, orange is actually kind of sick. I don't know. I don't plan on that happening to me, but like, you never really know. Even at that though, all this new iPhone talk and all this new talk about battery and what it could do, the comparison of like video playback for so many hours, that all really depends on like what exactly video playback app you're using. Because I know for me, like a lot of times when I would compare video playback with YouTube and Netflix, or YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, it's all different. Some apps just don't waste as much battery at video playback than others. Some do. I don't know why. I really have no idea. Maybe it's because it uses more uploading speed. I have no idea. But the batteries on these phones are substantially better, which is good. It would always it almost like would make, a better decision, I think, if you were to be like a phone gamer. Play games on your phone, right? I used to do that a ton. I grew up in an age before I had an iPhone, I had an iPod Touch. And what that was, it was just like an iPod, but looked and worked like an iPhone, just without the phone option. Like, you couldn't make a call or send a text, but you had the iPod in your hand, and it was essentially an iPhone, just an iPod. You could buy, or you could download apps, you can download movies, music, all that stuff, social media, whatever you wanted. You could have it all on your iPod Touch. It's just you could not make calls or send text messages using a cellular provider. Besides that, it was pretty much the same thing, right? And back then, I used to game on that all the time. And the games back then were so much better and more creative than today's iPhone games that come out nowadays. I look at the games now, and I'm just kind of like disappointed in what we have. And I don't look at the games all the time when I'm on the App Store, because I barely use the App Store now, because I'm like, I have what I have. Like, this is what I got. I'm not going to probably get any more games. But like, just seeing like the games they have now on the App Store and like what exactly people are playing, it's a lot of the same type of games. There's that I remember playing when I was younger. Clash of Clans was one. That one's still very, very popular. There's this, I'm just on right now, the category of top free games on the App Store. Top three so far: Clash Royale, which I remember coming out when I was younger. Never played it. That was like on my tail end of like, I'm done with Clash of Clans. I don't want anything to deal with this game anymore. And that came out. Then there's this game called Block Blast, Township, King Shot, Roblox. Fortnite's on there. Subway Surfers, Royal Match, these type of games, right? And like, you look at these games right now, they're all like, very simple phone games, because your phone cannot do a lot of cool things that like a console or a computer can do. So you're like essentially limited on what you can do. And to me, they were always just like a waste of battery because like what if you need to use your phone for actual phone purposes and you're using it for video games and like now you've killed your battery for the day, you know? I've never been someone who's like, "Oh, I need to play this game over, what my phone, actually is for." Never been someone like that ever, really. When I was younger, say about 10 years ago, actually, I was really into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which was essentially a turn-based game where you could assemble a bunch of heroes in Star Wars and go up against other people or just like the campaign of the game and just have your heroes battle the other heroes that you were facing. That was a game that took up a lot of space on my phone, a lot of battery on my phone, a lot of time that I had as well. But that was also, like I said, about 10 years ago. So I was like really into Star Wars back then. And I was like, nothing could go wrong with that franchise. And I was all hyped for it. And I was just like, yeah, this is my game. Since then they've had other games like Marvel Hero Championship or something like that. Kind of a similar game. Clash of Clans, like I said. Boom Beach is kind of like Clash of Clans. A classic one back then was Words with Friends. That one was essentially Scrabble, just like, a really, really fun game to play with your friends. I was never good at it because I'm not good at Scrabble at all, really. But it was a fun game to compete in. Even though I never really won that many games, I tried so hard to beat my friends at that game, but I never could because I'm not the biggest word guy. Like my vocabulary is pretty mid when it comes to words that I use or that I use to describe things. I'm a big user of like simple words like that thing is big or that's small. Like there's a few words like I like to use that like are other words, synonyms, homonyms, whatever you want to call them that mean the same thing as another word. Like for instance, like instead of saying like that's good, I'll say like that's tremendous. Like that to me, I like that word. So I say tremendous quite a bit. It's that to me like that's just like a fun word to say. And it just does a little bit more of a better job describing how I feel about something that's good is by me saying tremendous. So like that's like my go-to like good word. You know what I'm saying? Or I'll say that's terrible. Terrible is one of my go-to words when there's like a not very good situation or like something is bad. I'll just say that's terrible. It's not a super sophisticated word. I'll give you that. It's more of a basicer word than, other words that can be used for bad. There's horrid, horrifying, yeah, that's pretty much all I know for bad. Not good. Well, that's 2 words. Devastating. That's a cool one. I never really say that. I just usually say terrible. Yeah, I mean, like, there's not a whole lot of words that I have in my vocabulary that I use from time to time conversing with people. I'm very basic when it comes to words. And I think that's totally fine. I don't think that you need to flex that hard with your vocabulary when you're talking to people face to face. Maybe if you were giving like a lecture or giving a lesson about something that you're knowledgeable on, and you can use other words like different adjectives or synonyms or other descriptive words that you like to use in your presentation, then yeah, that would be like the time to flex that, skill and muscle, and that, I have this many words in my arsenal that I know that mean one thing and also another thing. Then that would be a good time to use that skill. For me though, I don't really see any reason to do that. Again, maybe if I was more of a scholar, maybe if I had, a profession where like I was a professor or a lecturer, or if I was a politician or a public speaker, then I could use those words to my advantage to sound smart. I think a lot of the times though, that when people use those words, especially when you're in school and you got a hotshot professor that thinks he's the best thing that's ever graced the campus that he teaches on, right? He's going to use words on you that you don't even know what mean. And then he's going to be lecturing you like you know what these words are. And then you're at the same time, you're going to be trying to understand what he's saying along with the material he's trying to lecture you on. And then you're like, I don't know whether or not the material is hard or what this guy is saying is making it harder for me to understand the material. Either way, I'm toast, right? At that point, like you're like, I don't even know where to begin with what I need to review or study. I have no clue where to start. It's just like you're in like this like abysmal like blank face like what do I do now at that point? See, to me, if I really think about this, right? If a teacher is trying to do that and is doing that often, does that really make them a good teacher? Or is that teacher just trying hard to, appear smarter or appear like trying to seem like what he's teaching is more important than what it actually is? That there's got to be some subjects out there in the world of academia, right, that are held to a higher standard than others, right? There has to be a totem pole, a tier list of like how a university views the subjects that it carries at its campus by importance of either like turnout ratio, like how many students graduate with a degree in this subject rather than the other subjects that they also provide. If a school is based and is like known for its mathematics, do you think that it's going to have the same amount of courses or professors that it's going to have in the drawing department? Probably not. I don't think so. If a school or an art school, right? Let's say you're going to like an art school. Do you think an art school is going to have a lot of like history classes that it also has the same standards? No, I doubt it. There's no way. So, there has to be some kind of like, and I'm not even talking about like well, now I was, but now I'm like just talking about like a generic university, right? They're probably going to try to spread it all equally as they possibly can. But I think also that, depending on the person who is the professor, they're probably going to view like their subject as like the one subject that matters in that school, at that university. That kind of has to be the mentality though, if you think about it, because teachers are also like, even though they're kind of like, they seem sometimes to be like know-it-alls, they also have to be able to, get the point across to their students to understand the material. it's kind of like a coach. A teacher is almost like a coach in a way. A coach in sport needs to get across, how he wants players to approach the sport that they are playing in terms of work ethic and focus and conditioning and being there for your team and working hard and giving it everything that you got. That way the team does not sacrifice because one person decided not to play as hard. In school, it's a bit different. It's more individual than team based. It also depending on what kind of assignment you got, right? But still, the teacher needs to motivate. The teacher needs to inspire for all the students to pass the course, right? That's the ultimate goal. When you take a course in college as a student, your goal is to pass that course so you can then move on to the next course or even graduate or just finish, whatever, right? You're motivated to do better. And it's almost in a weird way too, like you're also like as far as like, we don't want to like, or at least like, people in academia don't really want to say it, but school is a competition. Let's just be honest. It is. You want to do better than the other kids next to you or the other students next to you. You want to do better than them. It's the natural human competitive drive that, makes you want to be better than the person next to you. At least that's how I view it. I view it in a way it's like, I want to be smarter than that guy or that girl. Like, no way, I'm not going to let her freaking or him pass me on this exam, or I'm going to write a better paper than this chump. I'm not going to let them be better than me. Are you kidding? That's silly. That's loser mentality, which I don't have. Again, that's how I view it. I wish I viewed it more like that when I was in school, because that would have been I would have been a much better student if I had viewed it that way. But I did not. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just the way you kind of have to view it in a way. I don't know. How did I even get there? I was talking about freaking phone games. I don't know how I even got there. But anyways, moving on to some other news out there. I had mentioned I was really into Star Wars about 10 years ago. That was like when, well, actually, right now it's the year 2025. So in December would be the 10th year anniversary of Episode 7 coming to theaters, which is crazy to think about. Like, it would be 10 years since that movie has come out. And all it has done is cause more and more pain every year that it exists. Tremendous, a lot of pain since that movie's come out. But, since the Disney regime has gone of ruling over Star Wars and ruling over what George Lucas had created, there has been a couple things here and there that have been decent. Most recently, and one of the most, I guess, older things that has come out in the Disney regime of Star Wars was the Mandalorian TV series, which went on for 3 seasons. Season 1 being good, Season 2 being incredible, and Season 3 being not so good. So I guess you can kind of say that started off strong, got better, and then kind of teetered off, at least in my opinion. And it kind of seems to be the consensus around fans of the property throughout. So, I mean, why do I bring this up? Well, a couple of days ago, the Star Wars released a trailer, not a teaser, an actual trailer for the upcoming movie to conclude the Mandalorian series, and it's titled The Mandalorian and Grogu. So we're getting a movie next year coming out in May called The Mandalorian and Grogu, and it's said to end the Mandalorian series. And I watched the trailer because, you know, I do like the Mandalorian as a character. You know, the world that they established, even though it's already a shared world, I enjoy the take on that world that they made. The characters that they had in that world, in that arc of stories, I enjoyed it quite a bit for what it was. You know, there's a lot of TV out there that kind of like makes an imprint, and it's hard to forget because it was so well. The Mandalorian began so well, and a lot of episodes in that series are still so good. But that final season to me was just not very good, and it kind of like made me forget about the series. I'll be completely honest with you. Even though the first 2 seasons were pretty good, like actually good TV, right? Uh, um, and the trailer came out. I watched it, and I gotta tell you, man, I actually got like excited for this because I had forgotten how like cool the Mandalorian as a character was. Like him and little Grogu was like just like, this is cool. You know, I remember watching this and being like excited watching this and having a lot of fun watching this series when it was good. And seeing that trailer with the music, the Mandalorian theme, everything that they were, you know, all the adventures they were having in this trailer, it's like, man, this looks freaking cool, man. Like, this looks awesome. Like, I remembered, like, how much I enjoyed those first 2 seasons with those adventures, and I was like, this is awesome. I will say, though, I'm a little disappointed that it is going to be a movie and not a final season. Because I feel like also, like, when I watch this trailer, it is kind of like, looks like they just put like a few Mandalorian episodes into just like a 2.5 hour time frame, which, you know, kind of in a way makes me sad because like I would have appreciated like a final like 8 episode season rather than like a 2 hour, 2.5 hour movie. I'll be honest with you, because I know like the Mandalorians, you know, episodes of the show weren't always like the longest. Like sometimes they had like maybe 30-minute episodes, and you're like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're making a TV series. Like, I expect like at least an hour of a TV for an episode. You know, I'm just conditioned to like old style TV when it would be like an actual TV and had to fill like a time frame for an hour. Like when they don't do that, I actually get like a little disrespected. It's like, what are you doing? You don't have enough to fill an hour of TV? Shame on you. Like, what's this all about? You know? But I am still excited. I want to see it, even though I do think that it should be a series, because it looks like it could be a series. A season, my bad. A season of television. It looks like it. I mean, like, there's just so many things that are like in that trailer that are just like disjointed and not really connecting to another. And you're like, this totally looks like it could be just episodes stitched together to make like a movie, if I'm being honest with you, which is kind of a bad thing in my opinion. If you're gonna make a movie, make it a movie. All right, don't set your you know, I don't know if it was planned in the beginning, like the final thing that the Mandalorian will be in is a Mandalorian movie. Like, it seems like to me like this, they were gonna do a season of television, and for some reason like did not have enough content, not enough material, and we're like, you know what? We're just gonna shove it into and condense it into a 2 hour movie, and that'll be our send off. That kind of seems like what it's gonna be. I'm not really excited for that. If that's that is what it is gonna be entirely. But you know, I cannot help myself that I am excited to see what is going to be in this, how it's going to end, if they will be in other Star Wars projects in the future, which again, like the world of Star Wars, like as a medium, as a form of entertainment right now is so gone. at this point, there's like just nothing coming out from them. They have no roadmap. They have no plan of executing new projects. Things are being shot. Things are being written, scrapped, reimagined, straight up abandoned, shelved, that we don't know entirely what's the future of this company. Like, if you really think, like, just kind of picture Star Wars as a company, right? Because that's what it is. They haven't really put anything out to make themselves any money in the past few years. That's been like, hailed for, talked about, praised. Nothing really like that. The last few things that they put out was 2 TV shows, The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, both not being very good with fans. So I mean, like, this might be like the one thing that they put out, like, and I hope that, that when they put it out, it's actually good, and it kind of rekindles that interest in Star Wars, because right now the interest in Star Wars is just kind of gone. Like, it's just not even there. You might as well just, like, you fold in the towel if you're the company and just be like, well, we have this brand, we have this IP that we bought for $4 billion. We made it back with the shitty movies that we put out, and now we're just gonna take a vacation. It's like, I mean, I guess you could do that, but you're endangering the brand of, like, becoming irrelevant when it already is pretty much irrelevant. I mean, let's be honest. Star Wars is not something that people want to talk about right now. You kind of killed it. I mean, you made your money, good for you, but you didn't make a good movie. At the end of the day, like, I like to really, make the judgment call on successful movies with how much money it makes. Like, that's how you really do determine if the movie is successful, right? You have to think about it this way, right? If you make a bad movie and you make no money, that's really bad. Not only is it bad for fans and for the company, that they must know that they made a bad movie, right? The bad movie was bad, and you also make no money. That means, like, the people that made the movie won't be getting paid that much money to make it, that because they made a bad movie. Whereas if you made a bad movie and it made a ton of money, like the Star Wars sequel trilogy, at least you can kind of be like, we made a bad movie. A lot of people worked very hard to make this bad movie. At least we can provide them a salary. That way they could provide for their families. That's the positive on that, You always have to kind of look at it as, like, when they make a movie, it's their job to make a movie. Whether it's a bad movie or a good movie, usually kind of is determined by the people who view it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I do not. A lot of people I talk to do not like them either. But a lot of people worked very hard on those movies to make them for what they are. And I don't want them to go hungry, to not earn a salary, to not be able to provide food for their families. That would be very evil of me to say. That's not something that I want. No, I want these guys to get paid. They worked very hard. They had to memorize lines. They had to set up lighting. They had to build sets. They had to get locations. They had to do this and that and every other thing that they had to do to make that movie. Like, that took a lot of time and effort and hard work to do. I'm not going to wish, like, they don't make money. That would be sick of me. That would be evil of me, which I'm not evil. So it's such a weird thing, right? As fans of, like, movies and stuff like that, and as fans of, like, television and just, like, entertainment in general, like, we want to see the best thing possible for the franchise and thing that we love. Sometimes we don't always get that. We just don't always get that. Recently for me, I wanted the Superman movie this summer to be the best thing I've ever seen in my life. It was not. I was highly disappointed. Highly, highly, highly disappointed. And I was just like, well, you know, that sucks for me. A lot of people liked it. I was not really one of them. I thought it was okay. Not the best thing, not the worst thing, but it's it is what it is at that point. It is what it is. And as long as the people that are making it are able to provide for their families and work in this industry and continue to strive for to make good movies, and I'm okay with that. Totally fine with that. That to me is beautiful. But I do expect them to put in more effort to make movies better. Because if what you put out is your best you can possibly put out, if what they put out and they know in their heart is the best that they could have possibly done, then I'm okay with that. And then we could be able to tell that when we view it, like, yeah, this is like the best that they could do with whatever they had. But if we can't tell that, there was work put into the movie that they made, and we can tell it's bad, then I expect them to be better in the future making movies, because their goal is to entertain the public and the masses. And if they ain't doing that, then what the heck is the point? You know what I'm saying? So am I excited for this movie? Yeah, just because it is The Mandalorian, and hearing that music again was like, oh, this is cool. I remember watching this when it first came out on my TV, and getting Disney Plus just to watch this. Like, I was like, yeah, this is cool. This is awesome. So I'm excited to watch that movie. I actually might go to see it in theaters. Like, this actually might be a movie that I want to watch in the theaters. I'm not even kidding you. Like, I did not want to. I mean, I haven't wanted to watch anything Star Wars in a long time. This might bring me back, possibly. I don't know though. More movie news that had come out very recently. Tom Holland was concussed on the set of the new Spider-Man movie that I believe comes out next year. And I'm just like, dude, like, you don't need to be in that suit doing these stunts all the time. I get it. He's like a Tom Cruise, right? He wants to be there and be the guy doing the thing in the movie. And I think, honestly, that's what makes it so believable when he is playing Spider-Man, is because for the most part, he's doing the stunts, right? I don't know if it was like an accident on him. Maybe someone else caused it. I don't know. It's a scary situation whenever an actor like that is injured badly on a set of a movie. It was the same thing when Tom Cruise broke his ankle filming Mission Impossible. I mean, a concussion is, in a way, worse than that, but also not as bad as recovery time, but still really bad for that guy's brain and his health overall in the future, right? Honestly, he's a really good actor, Tom Holland. He plays a very good Spider-Man, so I would hope that this one injury is not going to totally make it seem like he can't do stunts anymore, because I feel like, when you're actually involved like that and you take responsibility in that role and you do the stunts, you have a little bit more of he cares more about it, and you can tell that how much he does care, and you can tell he cares by the performance that he has on the screen. So hand in hand, that just makes the movie and his performance even better than what it might be if he doesn't do the stunts, And I also I give props to actors that go out and do those stunts, because it's so easy for these big movies and these big budgets that they have to get stunt doubles, and just have someone else take the punches and the star not have to worry about that. But if he's actually out there doing the stunts and doing the flips, that's just mad props and mad respect. honestly, for Tom Holland, and like just like renewed and respect for that guy, because that takes a lot of dedication, a lot of courage, and a lot of sacrifice to do that. So hopefully this dude actually is able to, come back and not be discouraged from that. I heard it was like a minor. I heard a couple things. I heard it was he cracked his skull and had a concussion, and I heard like it was a minor concussion. Regardless, a concussion is still a concussion, right? Like, you got to make sure that you clear protocol, right? That you do all the steps to recover from that. I've never had a concussion in my life. I've had a headache. I've never had a concussion. And being me, right, watching a lot of football, like, a concussion does not seem like that major of an injury, but it actually is. It's your brain getting rocked in your skull, damage to your brain, which is not good when you think about it, because you see players in the NFL get concussed week after week, and then coming back the week after. But really, it's like, dang, dude, like, maybe you should have taken like at least another week off, because that injury, those concussions, like, if they keep mounting up, like, that is just not good for your health overall. Like, that is just terrible. So if I'm Tom Holland, I am making sure that I'm taking care of, going through protocol, doing all the steps I need to do to make sure that I am 100% when I come back, taking medicine, vitamins, whatever, because I don't know if like there's a treatment that there is out there for like people who have sustained multiple concussions in their lives to make sure that their brain is okay. I'm sure there's got to be something, but I doubt I doubt it's like a high range of options out there that you can use for your brain. But hopefully this dude's okay, because that just seems like something that's so scary and so terrifying that people who've never experienced a concussion would never know what it's like until we've actually had one, which, obviously we're not going to be like, oh, I want a concussion or I should get one so I know what it's like. Like, no, don't do that at all. That's so stupid. But just kind of take like from what people say about the injury, how significant it is, and like just like, give that person the time to recover from that. Like, I think that's just like the best thing that we can do. You just kind of hope that they recover the best they can, take the time that they need, because those injuries are not good. And if they mount up like that, like if he has another concussion on the set of the same movie, or even a different movie, and just they just keep mounting, then it's just not a good thing. So I hope the dude's okay. Like, honestly, like when I heard that news, I was like, oh shoot, that really sucks. That's something I would not want to have happen to me at all. Like, he's a rich guy, right? Tom Holland is rich as hell. He can afford a good doctor, a good diagnosis, some good treatment, right? I'm pretty sure because it was during an accident on the movie, the studio's going to take care of that, or they kind of have to, I guess. But it's still a scary situation for anybody. It's not something that you want to hear happen to people, anybody, in my opinion. Now, moving on to some sports. Breaking news. A couple days ago, the MLB is taking into action on an issue that has kind of been an annoyance in the league for a long time. And it's I'll be honest with you, it's something that I like and I dislike. But I think I like more. It's the addition to the it's more reviewing of the game. It's the ball and strike challenge. So it is designed to review a called ball or strike by the umpire. And it's only able to be called the challenge is only able to be made by pitchers, hitters, and catchers. The way they do that is if a batter is batting and he thinks that the ball that went past him was a ball and the umpire called it a strike, he has the ability now to challenge that ball or strike by tapping his head. That insinuates the challenge has been made, and they are able to review it. Teams get 2 challenges per game. Now, I think that this is very cool. I think it's cool because, for one, especially in the postseason, when this happens, when stakes are high, and just in like a regular season game too, when the stakes are high, win or lose, things do happen. And I've seen a lot of calls. I've watched a lot of baseball. I've seen a lot of missed calls in very important games. Some calls you're like, what the heck are you looking at? Did you see what I saw? Were you paying attention? I've seen a lot of that happen. And it's infuriating because it's like that could just dictate the entire course of the game, but you missed the call or you didn't call it correctly. And it's really infuriating. It can be I can only imagine how hitters might feel, pitchers might feel, catchers too. Like, what is this guy even doing? I get it. I totally understand. And I think that's a good thing it's going to be put into the league because, hey, they put out a video review of, if you're being tagged out, if they beat the tag home or the first or whatever like that. Something like this should have been in the game for a while. Now, baseball purists are probably going to hate it because it's going to slow the game down. Well, I'm sorry, but like these decisions, right, that are being made by the umpire, sometimes in high pressure situations require another look. I'm sorry, but they do. They can't always get it right the first time. It's just been proven that way. There's been a lot of times where it has screwed a lot of players over. And I know it's only 2 challenges per team, but that 2 challenges, maybe even if you just use one, could in fact, turn the tide of a game or make it go another way. Wait, I mean, it's insane to say, but like, it's more fair that way. And hey, also with this being introduced, it'll be actually better for the umpires because they would have to be on their game a lot more than what they were previously. Because now players are going to be able to call them out on their calls. And I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever watched baseball, there's a lot of umpires out there that really like to be the authority of the game, which is good, right? Like they need to be neutral. The umpire's got to be neutral. But sometimes they are a little full of themselves. I'll be completely honest. Sometimes they do not they won't, I guess you can kind of say like they get a little full of themselves. They are like totally against whatever player, team, I don't know. They just umpire harder on certain teams. At least sometimes I get the feel that sometimes, and they're just a little bit too high and mighty on themselves. And it's strange, but it does happen, So I don't know. I just feel like sometimes, a rule like this that's going to shake up the league is either viewed as good or bad. I think that this is more viewed as good than bad because it's only going to make the umpires have to work a lot harder because now they're going to be called out if they make a silly call. That doesn't make any sense. I just feel like now the player has a little bit more power than they did back then. And it's going to be starting up next year. My one silly gripe about this, and I think it's actually more of like a non-silly than silly, but now that I think about it, It probably is, but just hear me out. Not only is this being introduced to the league next year, it could only be done. It could only have come to the league next year because it was being powered by T-Mobile. That's right. When I saw this announcement, I was cringing when I saw it because they put out a video, MLB put out a video, that this is coming, the Players Challenge on balls and strikes is coming powered by T-Mobile. Servers and cameras to make the game more fair. To me, I saw that and I was like, oh my God. They just had to find a way to manufacture in a company, a sponsor, a way to make more money to straight up make the game more fair. I could not believe it. Of course, they would find a way to get a sponsor to be on board to add something in the game that is better for the players, but it only could be brought to you by T-Mobile. It could only be put into the game to make it more fair, right? To give more power to the players on, this umpire screwed me on this, or, that was a ball when it was called a strike. It could only be achieved by the power of T-Mobile. I thought that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. The fact that MLB actually put out a video like that was so dumb, so conceited, so money grabbing, money grubbing, just greedy. I almost vomited. I love capitalism. I do. I love it. I cherish it more than anything in the world. It's beautiful. But it is gross sometimes. It is gross. And we all have to admit sometimes that capitalism sometimes can be very disgusting. And today, it was disgusting. It was truly disgusting. And just like, I was appalled by how dumb that video was, promoting the new technology powered by T-Mobile to bring to the game for the first time ever, ball and strike call review challenges powered by T-Mobile. I couldn't believe it, dude. Should be more just like powered by money and greed. Just powered by money and greed. Like, I could not believe how stupid and silly that looked. It was just disgusting. I could not believe it. Really could not. But nonetheless, that's coming to the league next year. So we should have overall better baseball. And hopefully umpires are more on their toes, more alert, paying better attention to the balls and strikes coming their way. That way they can make the accurate call. That way the challenges don't have to be used that much. Because if they just start becoming used like all the time, then we have an issue. Then it comes down to like, is the umpire really doing their job? Like, what's the use of the umpire? Is this also a way, possibly in the future, to get rid of the umpire? To get just like a camera, a robot? I hope not. I mean, as much as I don't like umpires, and sometimes they make like dumb calls and like just don't make sense. Like, that's part of the game. I'd rather keep the game human than not human. So, in a way, like, we need the umpires, but we hate the umpires. If that makes any sense. To me, like, right now, I'm like neutral on umpires. Like, I don't want them out of the game. But also, like, I just wish that they would make better calls. But I also understand, like, sometimes that's hard to do. So hopefully this challenge implements them to be better at their job. So before I get out of here, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the NFL Week 3 recap and my complete devastation because of this previous week. I'm just going to go through some notable games that caught my attention, that surprised me. Not every game because I'm running out of time. Thursday night game was good. The Dolphins actually showed some fight, and the Bills are still the best team, probably in the NFL, being 3-0. Dolphins, though, I mean, like, it was a loss, but at least the team actually competed more than the previous weeks and actually looked like an actual competent team rather than just like an absolute mess. Browns beat the Packers 13-10. That actually was an insane game. The Browns defense was actually really good. And the Packers, up until like this past week looked really, really good. And it was more of a defensive game than anything. Packers just could not get it together on offense. And the Browns defense was for real. Like really good. Vikings beat the Bengals 48-10. Carson Wentz arrived. Bengals looked terrible. Could not believe the score. I could not believe the score also because of Carson Wentz being at quarterback. Like, this guy's probably not going to be that good. It's going to be the battle of the backups. Joe Burrow might be gone for the season, so we might be seeing another lost Bengals season, potentially. So that's kind of sad. Colts beat the Titans 41-20, another blowout. The Colts look really, really good. Jonathan Taylor, dude's back. He's so good. And Daniel Jones also looks really good too. I don't know what it is about being on the Colts, but he's thriving. Legit thriving on that team. Don't know how to point it out. Don't know how to explain it, but like after last season with the Giants and now this season with the Colts, it's like, what the heck happened, dude? Let's see. Seahawks beat the Saints 44-13. That was a massacre. Bears beat the Cowboys 31-14. Ben Johnson gets his first career win as a head coach. Dominated the Cowboys. Caleb Williams looked pretty good. Not a whole lot that I remember from this game. Just, the Cowboys look pretty bad. Chiefs beat the Giants 22-9. Chiefs get their first win. Very good start. Giants look bad. I mean, like, their fans were so pissed off that game. Like, they had enough of Russell Wilson. Like, that this experiment with him being the starting quarterback is over. Brian Daboll has come out and said that Jackson Dart will start week 4 for the Giants. And I don't know what happened, man. I mean, Russell Wilson was playing really good last year with the Steelers. And, now he's just playing terrible with the Giants. I mean, I don't think that Jackson Dart is going to be like the savior, but like, hey, at least they're trying something out, something new, Maybe he'll be good, but again, it's a Brian Daboll coach team. So, like, do you expect them to be that good? Not really sure if you can. I mean, even last year with Daniel Jones, he was bad under Brian Daboll, and now he's good at the Colts. So maybe it's just Brian Daboll. But we'll see next week with Jackson Dart starting. Maybe he will be the answer. Monday night game, Lions beat the Ravens 38-30. Good game. Saw the highlights. Didn't get to see the game, but saw the highlights. Really entertaining game. Awesome game. Lamar looked good for the first half. Jared looked okay, and then he got better. And then Lamar could not make plays at the end. A fumble by Derrick Henry towards the end really kind of let the game slip away, and just not being able to come in the clutch. The Ravens were not able to clutch up and make the plays that were necessary to win that game. And Detroit was just swarming all over Lamar Jackson that night. It was just a really dominant performance by them. Even though they still let the Ravens score 30 points, they were swarming that dude all night long. And then the one everyone wants me to hear about, wants me to talk about. Eagles beat the Rams 33-26. That ruined my entire week. I'm still salty, angry, sad, confused, depressed from that game, ending the way that it did. We had a 26-9 lead at one point. We blew that lead. They were leading 27-26 with 2 minutes remaining. We drive down the field and are in field goal range, and they block the kick to win the game and run it back for a touchdown with 3 seconds remaining. It is devastating, gut-punching, soul-crushing, spirit-breaking. I was not happy that day. I was livid. That day. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be alive. Not. I'm joking, but I just didn't want to be around people. I did not want to be around anybody. I wanted to just sulk in my sadness and my sorrows, but I couldn't. And it was a devastating loss. Devastating. I could not believe it. I really could not believe it. It sickened me to my core. It really did. Still not really over it. I mean, we had that lead. We should have held on to that lead, held on. We couldn't score a single point after. Costly turnovers, just not being able to close those guys out. And I wanted to beat the Eagles so badly. God, it pains me so much to just go following the game and just like seeing it all happen. I'm like, no, I couldn't believe it. I was just it ruined my entire week. And now we have to play the Colts next week. Colts are really good. And now I'm like, Jesus Christ. The game's at home, but like I just wanted to beat the Eagles so badly. That's all I wanted, was just to beat them. And we let it slip away in the most horrific fashion of all time. Horrible way to lose. It was terrible. I'm still not over it. I know I'm sounding a little sad right now, but it's just, being a sports fan, really, dude, like if you really think about it, is the dumbest thing ever, because you put so much effort and sacrifice and love into the team. And when they win, it's amazing. But when they lose, oh man, it really just depletes you. It depletes me. Like I am soul crushed right now. Just absolutely soul crushed. But it is what it is. Maybe, hopefully this game makes the Rams better, makes them look at themselves and be like, you know what? We were playing very good. We did not close out well at all. We let them come back when we should not have. And that in the future, hopefully, they can play a lot better. And if they must play the Eagles again, they know that they can beat them. Because I knew we could beat them. I knew it. When we were winning, I'm like, I knew it. I knew we could beat them. I know we're a good team. We might be even better. And we can beat these guys. And we were for a while. It was great. Until the end when we lost. So I'm ticked off still. Every time I talk about it, every time I think about it, I get mad. And it's just not good. So, yeah. I mean, not a good week. Not a good Sunday leading into not very good week. So, I don't know what to say. I'll survive, though. I'll be better. I mean, we got to win this coming up week against the Colts. That's a must win for me. We cannot go 2-2. We cannot lose to the Colts. I mean, I don't care what kind of run they're having right now. We need to beat the Colts. I do not expect them to beat us. I expect a win. I expect a bounce back. I expect us to crush the Colts. We need to come out angry, and we need to destroy them. Literally destroy them. It is a war. Every Sunday is a war. And we were winning this war last Sunday, and we ended up losing the war. We cannot lose back-to-back wars. We must come back and win this one handedly. We must beat them. I do not expect anything less than a victory this coming Sunday. Nothing less than a victory. And that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening, for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.